Picture this. You're sitting at home, scrolling through yet another government document about aged care, and your eyes glaze over after the third paragraph. But what if I told you that on November 1st, 2025, something revolutionary happened in Australia that could completely change the way you or your loved ones experience aged care, and most people still have no idea about the rights they now have? Let me tell you about the 12 rights hidden in plain sight in the new Aged Care Act that could transform your life. Here's something shocking. Australia's aged care system was operating under a law from 1997. Think about that. A law written before most of us had email, before smartphones existed, before anyone even knew what social media was. The Royal Commission into Aged Care Quality and Safety looked at this old system and said something that should make us all sit up and pay attention. It's no longer fit for purpose. The system was built around providers and funding, not around the people who actually needed care. But on November 1st, that all changed forever. The new Aged Care Act 2024 isn't just a tweak or an update. It's a complete transformation. At its heart is something called the Statement of Rights, and this is where those 12 rights I promised you come in. These aren't suggestions. They're not voluntary guidelines. They're legally protected rights that every aged care provider must respect. And if you're receiving aged care services or thinking you might need them someday, you need to know what you're entitled to. Let's start with the first right that most people don't realize they have. The right to make your own decisions about your life, even if there's some personal risk involved. Yes, you heard that correctly. The new act specifically protects what's called dignity of risk. What does this mean? It means if you're 85 and you want to keep gardening even though there's a chance you might fall, that's your choice to make. If you want to go for walks on your own, live independently, or make decisions that others might consider risky, the law now says that's your fundamental right. You get to decide which aged care services you use, how you access them, and who provides them. You're in control of your money, your belongings, and how you live your life. The second right is equally powerful, the right to take risks. This goes hand in hand with that first right, but it's worth highlighting separately because for too long, aged care has been about wrapping people in cotton wool. The new law says no more. You have the explicit right to pursue activities, hobbies, and routines that bring you joy and meaning, even if they come with some level of risk. This is your life, and you get to live it on your terms. Right number 3 is something that should have always been obvious, but needed to be written into law. The right to have your culture and identity respected. Whether you're Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander with connections to country, whether you come from a culturally diverse background, whether you're LGBTQIA+, or whether your identity is shaped by your language, beliefs, food preferences, or spiritual practices, your aged care provider must respect and support all of it. This isn't about token gestures. Providers are legally required to deliver culturally safe care that values your background and identity. For Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, this specifically includes the right to stay connected to country or island home. Now here's right number 4, and this one's a game changer. The right to choose who supports your decisions. Maybe you want your daughter to help you make choices about your care. Maybe it's your best friend, your partner, or someone else you trust completely. Under the new act, you can officially register someone as your supporter. This person can help you make decisions or communicate on your behalf. But here's the crucial part. This is based on supported decision-making, not substitute decision-making. It's about amplifying your voice, not replacing it. Your autonomy and dignity remain at the center. Right number 5 protects something we all value, your privacy and personal information. You get to decide who can access your personal details and how they're used. You can see your records whenever you want. You can understand the costs of your care, ask for updates, and get information in a way that makes sense to you. No surprises, no hidden details. Your provider must communicate with you in your preferred language or method, including using interpreters or communication aids if you need them. Your personal information must be kept confidential, and you control when it can be shared with others. The sixth right is about safety, and it's non-negotiable. The right to safe, high-quality care delivered with dignity and respect. You have, the right to be free from all forms of violence, degrading or inhumane treatment, exploitation, neglect, coercion, abuse, and sexual misconduct. This includes protection from discrimination of any kind. Your provider must have systems in place to recognize, prevent, and respond to abuse, neglect, and discrimination. This isn't optional. It's the law. Right number 7 addresses something deeply important: the right to stay connected. You have the right to maintain relationships with people who matter to you, your family, friends, and carers. You have the right to stay connected with your communities through leisure, spiritual, or cultural activities. You can even keep your pets with you where possible. These connections aren't luxuries. They're fundamental to your well-being, and the law now recognizes that. Here's right number 8, and this one gives you real power: the right to complain without fear of punishment. Let me say that again because it's so important. You can raise concerns, make complaints, and speak up about issues without any fear of reprisal. The new act has strengthened whistleblower protections, which means you, your family members, your representatives, and even aged care workers can report problems without worrying about being punished or treated unfairly. Your identity will be protected with only specific legal exceptions. This creates a culture where speaking up isn't just allowed, it's protected by law. Right number 9 is about getting the care you actually need: the right to equitable access. You're entitled to a fair and accurate assessment to determine what aged care services you need. This assessment must be done in a way that suits you and respects your culture and background. You have the right to get the kind of care you need when you need it. No more endless waiting or being told your needs don't quite fit into the available categories. The 10th right ensures you're not just a passive recipient of care, the right to be actively involved in your care planning. Your provider must include you in planning and managing your care. They have to work with you to develop your service agreements and care plan. They must listen to your concerns, let you know what services you can access, and answer your questions. This is person-centered care written into law. You're a partner in your own care, not just someone things are done to. Right number 11 protects something essential for making informed choices: the right to information. You have the right to receive information about your aged care services in a way that you can understand. This includes information about your rights, the services available to you, and the costs involved. If you need information in a different format, in a different language, or presented in a way that accommodates any disabilities or communication needs, your provider must make that happen. Knowledge is power, and you have the right to be fully informed. And finally, right number 12 brings it all together: the right to access advocates and support. You may need help understanding your rights, making decisions, or making a complaint. The law says you have the right to get support from an independent advocate or anyone else you choose. This isn't just about having someone in your corner. It's about ensuring you have the tools and support you need to exercise all your other rights effectively. Now, why does all this matter? Because these rights aren't just words on paper. Aged e-sata. Care providers are legally obligated to demonstrate they understand the statement of rights and have practices in place to deliver services in line with these rights. If a provider isn't respecting your rights, you can complain to the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission. The new act also introduced strengthened aged care quality standards that providers must meet to receive government funding. There are real consequences for providers who don't comply. Here's the thing most people don't know. If you were receiving a home care package before November 1st, the no worse off principle means you'll pay the same or less under the new Support at Home program. If you were already living in permanent residential care on October 31st, your fees stay the same unless you choose to move to the new arrangements. These protections were built in specifically to ensure the transition doesn't disadvantage anyone already in the system. The new act replaced almost 30 years of outdated legislation. It responded to 58 recommendations from the Royal Commission. It shifted the entire focus of aged care from a provider-centered model to a rights-based, person-centered approach. This is the biggest transformation of aged care in Australian history, and it happened less than 3 months ago. So here's what you need to do. If you're receiving aged care services, ask your provider about your statement of rights. They're legally required to inform you about these rights. If you have family or friends in aged care, share this information with them. If you're planning for future care needs, understanding these rights will help you make informed decisions and choose providers who truly respect what you're entitled to. These 12 rights, the right to make decisions, to take risks, to have your identity respected, to choose your supporters, to privacy, to safety, to connection, to complain freely, to equitable access, to involvement in care planning, to information, and to advocacy, these aren't privileges. They're your fundamental entitlements under Australian law as of November 1st, 2025. The question isn't whether you have these rights. You do. The question is, are you using them?